Hello, and welcome to another teaching from TorahFamily.org. We are a family-based ministry that believes the whole Bible stands forever, that all of it is based in the Torah, and all of it promotes the Torah. Please visit us at TorahFamily.org for more teachings like this one. We hope this teaching helps you learn and grow in the faith.
I want to study with you the virtuous woman found in Proverbs 31. I had several women write in and request a deeper look to get a better understanding of who she is, and I'm so happy they did. This chapter is full of golden nuggets to dwell on. Though between you and I, she has always made me exhausted just thinking of everything she does. I believe you could have caught me rolling my eyes a few times over the years when hearing her mentioned. But there is a time for everything, as Solomon so graciously declared within the book of Ecclesiastes. So here we are. I do want to take all the time that we need to really learn about her, so I want us to study her life in parts. Today's first part will introduce you to an overview of this woman, along with learning what it means to be excellent and more precious than jewels. My first thoughts of this chapter are that it is probably one of the most preached about topics from Proverbs. I'm sure you know that once a year throughout many congregations, this passage is dedicated to women for Mother's Day. Here in Costa Rica, it's in the month of August, which I love because I can double dip and celebrate both dates. Actually, it's just an excuse to eat out. As we start out in Proverbs 31, we learn that it is written by a king named Lemuel, who is taught in song or poem, called an oracle from his mother. Many believe that this King Lemuel is in fact King Solomon. If that is so, then that would declare the mother to be Queen Bathsheba. What if all the various scandals that Bathsheba saw in her lifetime placed in her heart the importance of teaching her son these words of wisdom? Now, we do not know this for a fact, so regardless of who it really was, we have been given a great gift: wisdom. Wisdom that we can glean from, passed on from one generation to the next. Yet, just who is this Proverbs 31 woman that this mystery mother speaks of? Who is this woman that can inspire and bring despair to so many by her life's accomplishments? Is she even real? This virtuous woman accomplishes so many tasks that reading them makes my head spin. In theory, it's possible that she lived during King Solomon's days. In reality, though, it is more likely that her attributes are only examples of what the king was to look for in a woman, with much emphasis on the most important character trait being one who seeks to live her life pleasing to Yahweh. The fact that these words of wisdom were passed on in an oracle seems to support the latter. So for those of us who feel more despair than inspiration, maybe that will help ease some of the pain. But let's just say that she was real. What does her character say about her? What would happen if she was challenged with the negatives that life throws out at some of us? Let's face it, it is pretty easy to display kindness, love, and generosity when life is good. In life, we all have hopes and dreams concerning our future. None of us plan on heartaches along the way. That is just not how we think. But for way too many, circumstances take a turn for the worse, and what once was perfectly planned happy endings are now blurred visions of wondering how to get through moment by moment. Darkness creeps its way in, and we have to figure out how to see light once again. I wonder if this woman of valor had to endure hardships. I know that so many of us have struggles we've tumbled out of, or in the midst of, or will even experience in the future. I wonder how she would have responded to finding out the news that her child was physically or mentally challenged, or a loss of a child. What about budget struggles, or a spouse's lack of leadership and spirituality, teen rebellion, stepmom struggles, or chronic illness in her or a loved one? How would she endure or cope with them? How can we cope with them? What virtues does this woman have that can help encourage us and empower us to get through and even overcome these struggles? In examining her heart, we look at Proverbs 31, verses 10 through 12. These 3 verses speak about marriage. First and foremost, please understand you do not need to be married to benefit from these verses. It does not matter if you are single or married because this is applicable for all. These traits come from within us. They do not come out because we have a husband, but rather because of who we are. Let's read verses 10 through 12. An excellent wife who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. Let's look at verse 10 again. An excellent wife who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. I love this verse. I am reminded of a popular credit card that put out a series of commercials spread out over the last several years. Do you remember the priceless commercials? The running of these particular ads may or may not be over, but their priceless point has been well made. The ad starts out with 3 items listing their prices. Within the mini storyline, the last item listed, or punchline, is that of a circumstance in which is always given the value as priceless. I did a search on other priceless comparisons in the scriptures. Here are a few that gives a little more understanding of what makes the virtuous woman excellent and more precious than jewels. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 20. The tongue of the righteous is choice silver. The heart of the wicked is of little worth. The words that we speak will be a sign of what is in our heart. What is your tongue showing others? This is even reinforced in Luke chapter 6, verse 45. Now let's look at Job chapter 28, verses 12 through 19. But where shall wisdom be found? And where is the place of understanding? Man does not know its worth, and it is not found in the land of the living. Now jumping to verse 17. Gold and glass cannot equal it, nor can it be exchanged for jewels of fine gold. No mention shall be made of coral or of crystal. The price of wisdom is above pearls. The topaz of Ethiopia cannot equal it, nor can it be valued in pure gold. Priceless, that is wisdom. There is no price that can be tagged on it, just as in the commercial's famous punchline. Here is another verse in Job 28 that describes wisdom a little further. And he said to man, Behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to turn away from evil is understanding. We are shown in this verse exactly what wisdom is. What makes this woman of valor more precious than jewels? It is the fear of Yahweh. It is also the very thing that makes her excellent. So what does the fear of Yahweh look like, walking it out in real life? It is when we examine our attitudes, fears, desires, shortcomings, and strengths, along with our actions, and line them up with Yah's instructions. Psalms 112, verse 1. Praise Yahweh. Blessed is a man who fears Yahweh and who greatly delights in his commandments. This is walking in the fear of Yahweh. This is wisdom. Let's read Isaiah chapter 50, verse 10. Who among you fears Yahweh and obeys the voice of his servant? Let him who walks in darkness and has no light trust in the name of Yahweh and rely on his God. Those hardships and struggles that I mentioned earlier are all various forms of darkness that comes into our lives. How would our Proverbs 31 woman react or respond in those situations? In reading Isaiah 50, I think we can agree that she would have no other heart but to trust in the name of Yahweh and to rely on her God. Our hope is to be in him. So, in this first glance of the Proverbs 31 woman, let us take to heart how she is a woman who fears Yah and places her trust in him. May her example help strengthen us to do the same, to be a woman that fears the Lord. I look forward to growing and learning with you as we continue studying Proverbs 31 in part 2 of this series. We hope you've enjoyed this teaching. Now it's up to you to be a Berean and study it for yourself. That's the only way to grow. Until next time, Shalom.